I'll give you the list. We have 10 negative actions as examples of actions of body, speech, and mind that we should avoid. But you can find countless actions. For instance, it said the Buddha found 84,000 delusions, 84,000 negative states of mind. Then he stopped, right? We talk about anger, pride, hatred. We talk about a few, but he found 84,000. So therefore, there's a lot more than we're talking about. But we just give these few as examples, and then you start to think about your own examples. So this afternoon, you can think about your own examples, and also what I want you to think about is the opposite. So I'm telling you the negative, what to avoid. You need to discuss what to avoid and then what to do, the opposite of the negative action. So for instance, to avoid killing, then the opposite. What would you do? You save lives, and then some people are involved with animal shelters, some people are involved with hospices, helping in hospitals, whatever you can do. So if this is important to you, if you want to save lives, you have to find a way of doing it. Okay, so I'll give you, maybe with stealing I'll give you the whole example. But the first one is killing, and so not killing. I think you understand why, because everybody wants to keep their life, to possess life. Even animals, any being wants to have life. So therefore, not killing in the sense of not shortening other beings' lives. Then stealing, I'll give you the whole example because there's 4 parts to the example. It's not as uncomplicated as you may think. It's a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to tell you the whole thing. So stealing, first of all, we need an object. You need an object, okay? So I would think the object would be something that you would like, but it also could be something that is possessed by somebody that you don't like and you want to take it away in order to make them unhappy. This is a bit more complicated. But let's just think of the desire object, all right? What do I have here that could be a desire object? My flowers. There you go. You are sitting there constantly looking at my flowers, and your desire is building and growing. I know it's not likely, but just imagine. So the object has to be something of value belonging to somebody else. This is the definition. In this case, I don't own it, so I'm not worried about it. But anyway, say, for instance, this is an object of value and it belongs to me for the sake of the exercise, all right? There we have our object. It's not rubbish, it's not something that's been thrown away, it's an object that has some value. It belongs to me, which it doesn't, but just for the sake of the exercise. Now we need an intention. So first we have the object, then we have to have the intention to steal. And this has parts. So then you need a discrimination. Okay? You need a discrimination. You correctly identify the object that you want to steal. You correctly identify it. So you say in your mind very clearly, I want to steal these flowers. Right? So you have a discrimination. This means you're pointing your mind in a certain direction. It makes the action more powerful. Right? Rather than you don't quite know what you're doing and you pick up a pen in the bank and you put it in your pocket and then you think later, where did this pen come from? Right? It's not like that. It's you know. It's those flowers. You like them. You want them. So then, discrimination, these flowers. The motive. Why do you intend to steal it? What's the feeling behind it? So it could be attachment, right? Desire attachment. You really, really like it. It could be anger. as I say, wanting to hurt somebody by taking away what they possess. I see some of you going, can't quite understand it. Okay, I'll give you an example. You're in love. It's all wonderful. You fall out of love. It's not wonderful anymore. You go to your lawyer. He goes to his lawyer, she goes to her lawyer. Then you're fighting about the flowers, right? They're his flowers, but you want them. Or they're her pictures, you want them, right? Because you want to hurt that person by taking away what they value, right? So then you can understand where you want to hurt somebody because you know they love something and you want to take it away. So that would be anger. Remember, anger disturbs your mind and projects onto the other person enemy. So when you say enemy, you want to take something away from them because you want to hurt them. So that's an example. Then there's the act of stealing. So we've already had the object, we've had the intention, which is discrimination, which is the feeling behind the action, the anger or the attachment, the desire. So then you've got to get the object, right? So then you've got to think about it. How can I get those flowers? And also you don't want anybody to catch you, right? You want them, but you don't want anybody to catch you. So I think I'm going to go into the Gompa, this room. Lunchtime is a good time. When they're all eating delicious food, you're going to sneak in here. And you pick it up, and you hide it, you know? Like that. So you have to have the act, whichever way the act is done. Or, say you can't even do it yourself. You say to Magda, Magda, go and get those flowers for me. And she says, but isn't that stealing? You're my friend, do it. Right? So even you get somebody else to do it for you, you're still responsible. The karma still comes back to you because you told somebody else to do it. Right? And then the completion, the fourth part, the completion, is you're satisfied at having obtained the object. You're happy, right? You're satisfied. So what happens if I've done it all by myself? There's the object, I have the desire, I come in here, I take the flowers, I get them back to my room, and the delusion falls away. The desire attachment disappears, or the anger disappears. That was motivating me, right? Now what happens? I look at those flowers and I think, what on earth did you do this for? Are you mad? Yes, I was mad. I mean, actually, this delusional state of mind is like being crazy, right? So, what on earth did you do this for? So pick up the flowers, run back here, put them back on the table. So in that case, the karma is not complete. To have a complete karma, you need 4 parts. Okay? And this is important because you have complete karmas and incomplete karmas. Complete karmas are where you have the object, you have the discrimination, you have everything in there. Discrimination includes motivation. You have the act and you have the completion. Those 4 parts give you a very powerful karma. And that karma is called a propelling karma or projecting karma. Propelling or projecting. Depends which way you like to think of it. But it's like a karma that is going to a certain direction. Right? That karma affects your rebirth. So propelling karma projects you into a particular rebirth in accordance with that action. If the karma is incomplete, 1, 2, 3 parts, that is a karma that creates the conditions. what's going on around you. All right? So if you've constantly stealing things, putting it back, stealing things, putting it back, if you've got lots and lots of incomplete karmas, you could be born in a place where you can't hold on to your possessions. The conditions would be constantly things are being stolen or breaking down. Right? Doesn't necessarily have to be stolen, but it could be also that you buy something new, it breaks down quite quickly. You know, you buy a new watch, it stops working. You buy a new computer, it blows up. It's like that constantly, and you think, why me? My friend bought the same thing, has had it for years. Me, I buy it, it lasts for a month or a week. It's like you can't hold on to it. Okay? So you've got two types of karmas. One's called projecting or propelling. It's the 4 parts complete. It's a very powerful karma. The other part, the other side, the other part, it's not complete, so it provides the conditions that we live in. So, to give an example, a human being born into a very difficult situation, very poor, can hardly get any money, can't get a job, very difficult situation, good propelling karma, but bad completion karma. Human, but very bad conditions around them. Okay? So because they're human, good propelling karma, but bad completion karma. Because they don't have any conditions for enjoyment. Difficult food, difficult water, everything's difficult. All right? So I'm telling you two extremes, just so you get the idea. Bad propelling karma, you're a dog. Good completion karma, you're a corgi living with the Queen of England. And every day she's, hello Philip, how are you? I don't know what the corgis are called, but anyway. So that would be bad propelling karma because you're a dog, but good completion karma, you're living in a palace. You've got everything you want, you know, jewels around your neck, somebody carrying you on a cushion, you never have to walk anywhere. Taking you for a walk is putting you on a cushion with a lead, you know, and they carry you like that. Bad propelling, bad completion would be a dog born on the street and people are throwing rocks at that dog constantly and nobody wants to take care of it. And the minute people see that dog, they hate it and they want to throw rocks and hurt it. Good propelling, good completion, you're a human being and you have conditions like we do. We have good can you ask this afternoon? We have good propelling, good completion. We have human body and we have resources because you're here. We can assume you have resources, right? So then you rejoice, you must have done a lot good, right? In order to have what you have, this package deal, good propelling, good completion, you must have done a lot of good in the past. Thank you, whoever you were in the past, but now what are you doing with it in the present? In order to ensure that in the future you're going to have good propelling, good completion karma. So this good fortune continues into the future. Yeah? So that's what you're taking care of in this life. This life is coming from past lives. So the karma from past lives, not killing, not stealing, no sexual misconduct, these things which hurt others, then if you don't do this, you don't experience the result. And you've done some good actions, you've been generous, you've had some patience, etc. Therefore, you have good conditions in this life. So, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct is, I won't go through the whole thing because now we're really running short, but sexual misconduct is basically having sexual conduct with somebody who doesn't want it, somebody inappropriate, underage, or with the partner of somebody who is in a relationship. So when there's a couple and you have sexual relations with one of the couple, it's cheating on the other person. So that usually would be sexual misconduct. And then lying, you know what lying is. But there's two types of lies. There's an ordinary lie and a big lie. The ordinary lie is, I didn't take your chocolate, and you did. You know, that sort of ordinary lie. The big lie is, are you a Buddha? You know, and don't ask me, whatever you do. So, are you a Buddha? And that person just smiles, and they go, you know, like, I can't say anything. But really what they're doing is indicating to you that they are, but they're not. So that's the worst type of lie, because it spiritually deceives people. And then they're going to start following that person who's not enlightened. So you're following somebody you shouldn't be following. So in a Buddhist context, this is the worst type of lie, because you're wasting your time with them. You're following somebody you shouldn't be following. So two types of lies, the big lie and the ordinary lie. Then divisive speech. Divisive speech is when you have a community or two people and you want to divide them. You want to separate them. I used to have a boss who liked this very much. It's called, in the West, I think, divide and conquer. You know? So I had a boss who, whenever we became friendly, she would come in and want to divide us. So nobody could get friendly. There could never be harmony in the office. It was always, whenever we achieved some level of friendship and harmony, she would say, that person has to go. Then that person has to go. So constantly changing staff. I think companies nowadays recognize this is a huge fault. This is a big problem. But do you do it in personal relations? You know, when somebody says, I'm not very happy with my husband or wife, what should I do? I'm thinking of separating. Do you say, yeah, I think you should separate? Do you give that sort of advice? So you have to be very careful with the advice that you give. You know, try not to divide people. Then, and you know, if you don't understand this and you talk about it in the groups this afternoon and then there's something particularly you don't understand, you can come back and ask me. Harsh speech, the object in harsh speech is somebody will be hurt by what you say. It's usually referring to humans, but I say, I think you should include animals. I've had many dogs that could understand a lot of stuff. So I think, you know, calling a dog something really ugly and thinking it doesn't matter because they can't understand, I think they understand the feeling, right? So I think, anyway, why would you be nasty to animals? But harsh speech, usually it's words that can be understood and then they hurt that person. Idle gossip, people often argue with me, what is the problem with idle gossip? They love it, you know, hour after hour after hour, especially in, you know, the chai shops down, drink another tea. One thing is it wastes a lot of time. Secondly, it can lead to talking about something negative. So be careful that this casual talk doesn't turn into the knife and getting nasty about people, or becoming depressed. You know, because often people start chatting and then they start saying the environment and then this and that, and the conversation sort of goes down and down and down, and you get really depressed, and then you think, I need another cigarette or I need a drink. So that gossip can push you into negative behavior, harmful behavior towards yourself. So just be careful. We often do have casual talk because that's the way we start. How are you? What's going on in your life? Stuff like this. but then be careful it doesn't get into something negative. Covetousness. Covetousness. It's a difficult word. It means when you see something and you really like it and you want it. It's very popular in the West. They advertise it on TV. And then you have covetousness, and then you start thinking, I've got to get it. Whether it's a new car, the new clothes, whatever it is, they're triggering your covetousness. I must have that. It's a mental thought. It's what leads to an action, right? So it's only a mental thought. I like it, I want it. If you don't have the money for it, that's where stealing comes in. If you have the money for it, that's where buying comes in. But where does the thought come from? Covetousness. If you didn't have covetousness, you wouldn't be buying it. Yeah? So the object is something that belongs to somebody else. Whether it's a store, a person, whatever, a possession, an internal quality. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an object, it can also be a quality. So there's a sort of a negativity there. Not you're going to work for that quality, but it's like you want to take the quality away. You know? There's a bit of jealousy there. The malice, the object is a living being who would be hurt if your harmful thoughts were acted out. So being malicious, malice, is somebody who would be hurt if your harmful thoughts were acted out. But again, it's only something mental. You're increasing the power of the negative thoughts, which then leads to an action, right? But malice is only mental karma. It's only something happening in the mind. You haven't actually done anything. It's that sort of thinking that then you're grateful that afterwards people couldn't hear you. You know, that you think, oh, I'm so happy nobody knew I was thinking like that. That's this sort of thinking. You know, it's very negative. And then wrong views. Wrong views, particularly important in Buddhism, because the object is something true and is always true, but you're saying it's untrue. Right? It's something true and you're saying it's untrue. So for Buddhists, if you become Buddhist, then wrong views would be the Four Noble Truths, you're saying it's not true. The law of cause and effect, you're saying it's not true. So once you become Buddhist, for Buddhists the wrong view would be you're saying these things don't exist and it's not true. Because then you have no operating system in order to improve your situation. You're turning away from the medicine. Yeah? The Four Noble Truths, karma, law of cause and effect. This is the ability to stop yourself from suffering and bring about happiness.